You think you know South Korea? Think again. I'm about to blow your mind with 9 of the most interesting facts I've never heard anyone talk about. This is part 3 in a series of facts about South Korea, so check out part 1 and part 2. Let's do this. South Korea doesn't observe daylight savings time, and I'm quite happy about that, to be honest. But in 1988, South Korea temporarily adopted daylight savings time for only 5 months. The reason? So that many events in the Seoul 1988 Olympics could be broadcast at prime time on the East Coast of America. Maybe I'm missing something here, but why didn't they just change the times of the events instead of changing the time zone of the whole country? I don't know. I'm sure there was a good reason, but it was really unpopular at the time, and no wonder. South Koreans were already sleep deprived and overworked. I bet losing that extra hour of sleep didn't go down well. Out of these two people, who can legally drive a car in South Korea first? A 16-year-old American or a 17-year-old South Korean? I'm sure you guessed that the answer is the 16-year-old American. But why? Well, the US Army has a large base in South Korea due to the threat from North Korea. And there's an agreement in place that as long as the US service person has a valid US license, they can legally drive in South Korea. And many US states issue driver's licenses from 16 years old. Now, as far as I'm aware, this is one of those laws that technically exists, but hardly ever happens in reality. Before 1989, South Korean passports were heavily restricted to just an elite few. In general, passports were only given to government officials, business people, and students. The average Korean wasn't allowed to just travel wherever they wanted to go. Even those that were given permission had to prove that they weren't a national security threat, and even had to undergo anti-communist training before traveling. That all started to change in the summer of 1988, when democratic reforms started to be introduced. By 1989, travel restrictions were dropped, and for the first time ever, South Koreans were allowed to travel abroad. One thing I think all foreigners in South Korea can agree on is that old Korean men spit way too much. You weren't expecting that, were you? But alas, it's true. And I'm not talking about spitting on the grass or even the road. I mean, right in the middle of the path that you walk on. It's bizarre. And the sound, But I digress. That's not the fact. The fact is that under South Korea's Public Health Control Act, spitting in public places is illegal, and the fine for doing so is about 100,000 won. So the next time you see an old man just hacking his guts out on the side of the street, report him. Call the police. Do it. I mean, nothing's going to happen if you do, but it's worth a try. Imagine having a fridge that's only used for cabbage. Well, according to various sources, 98% of Korean households have a kimchi fridge. Yes, that's a fridge that's dedicated to storing only kimchi. So, what makes a kimchi fridge different from an ordinary fridge? Well, a kimchi fridge is kept at a cooler and more consistent temperature. Humidity is higher and air doesn't move around as much as a regular fridge, which is better for kimchi fermentation. Oh, and it also stops the rest of your food smelling like kimchi. It's illegal to damage or desecrate any national flag in South Korea, and you could face up to 5 years in jail if you do. This one might only make sense if you've lived in South Korea, but pyeong is a Korean measurement for floor space. 1 pyeong equals about 3.3 meters squared. And you see this measurement used all the time in real estate agents. But pyeong was actually banned in 1961, and commercial use of it was criminalized in 2007. But literally no one cares, and it's not enforced by the police either. Bizarre. As a Brit, it seems mad to me that people even make pledges to their country or their country's flag. But up until 2007, the South Korean Pledge of Allegiance included a devotion to the eternal glory of the ethnicity of Koreans. So you couldn't truly feel Korean unless you believe that you were 100% pure blood Korean. And even though South Korea is becoming more and more multicultural, that belief still exists today. Up until 1997, it was illegal for two people of the same family name and the same ancestor's place of origin to get married. Let me explain. This law was based on Bongwan, which is a combination of your last name and your ancestor's place of origin, basically where your name started from. For example, if your surname was Kim and your ancestor's place of origin was Gyeongju, and you fell in love with someone else whose family name was Kim, and their ancestors also came from Gyeongju, you could not get legally married. This law was brought in to prevent people of the same bloodline from getting married. And this law is still in place, but in 1997, it was revised so that you can't marry blood relatives within the 8th degree. Basically, your third cousin is off limits, which would be your mother or father's cousin's child. And you're probably thinking, how would they even know? Well, a lot of Korean families keep something called jokbo, a book that traces the family history back hundreds or sometimes even thousands of years. Well, there you have it. Let me know if you have any interesting facts about South Korea. And if you enjoyed this video and want to learn more random things about South Korea, subscribe. Or don't. I'm not your dad.